So, if any of you have gone to the channel's Discord, which if you haven't, go check it out, it's kinda hype, as of this week, it has turned 1 year old, and to celebrate, I decided to host a Q&A with the help of my moderators. The rules were pretty simple. If anyone on the Discord wanted to ask me a question that wasn't about personal life or asking to play a video game, they could drop up to 3 in the Q&A channel that was open for that specific reason. And we have a lot to go over today. Tons of people drop questions off, and a lot of them are far more complex than you think, to the point that some have half-page long responses. And it isn't just going to be about my favorite Skylanders or questions similar to that either. Many of these questions actually involve stuff regarding Return to Skylands as well, and many other topics that I would like to get into. But before we hop into it, I just want to thank everyone in the Discord for joining me for its first year, and implore everybody who hasn't to join it as well. Either if you wanted to help me out on the Discord, or just have a place to hang around. So with all of that being said, let's get started. Xing asks, how come you haven't been able to play the other Skylanders games? Now, even though this isn't going to be a problem in the future since, well, I already burned like 80 bucks on getting the rest of the games, which will hopefully be here by the end of the month, it was a combination of multiple things. Near the beginning, it was mostly because I was poor as hell and getting everything, especially the figures, was a pretty daunting task for me. And after I did get half the games and learn how to program my own NFC cards, the only hurdle left was getting a capture card along with it. The capture cards that I had seen up until this point were not cheap and costed a pretty penny as well, but thankfully I was able to buy one that was pretty cheap. I also have to learn how to use the capture card as well, but I'm pretty prepared to learn how it works. Omega asks, what are your thoughts on 1. Kamen Rider, 2. Monster Hunter, and 3. Bakugan? I'm just gonna be honest here and say that I have no idea what those franchises are. I mean, I'm somewhat familiar with Monster Hunter due to all the cooking memes, but other than that, I have no idea what it's about. And when it comes to Bakugan and Kamen Rider, I have no idea what they are either. Sorry about that. Dark Cause asks, do you think Chaos was executed well as an antagonist? Overall, Chaos is probably exactly what Skylanders needed villain-wise, and he was executed perfectly. Even though Chaos is a villain in a kid's game, he just has so much stuff going on with him that it makes him enjoyable to fight against and funny as hell at the same time. So yeah, I think that Chaos was very well executed at the end of the day. What's your favorite element throughout all the Skylanders games? My favorite element actually has to be a tie between the tech element and the undead element. I don't know why, but out of every element, these two are the only elements that seemingly do not miss at all. And when they occasionally do, it isn't because they were bad outright, but instead because they were trying to do something new and kind of just fumbled it. I know I'm kind of cheating here, but you can't make me pick between Roller Brawl and Wind Up. Those Skylanders are gas. And for my last one, if you could rewrite a Skylanders villain to make them more tragic, who would it be and why? Pinata easily, and what's crazy is that I really do not have to do that much at all. All I really have to do is emphasize that both Pinata and the Chirocorn are still out there looking for each other. Bredos asks, how did you get into Skylanders as a game series? What inspired you to start on YouTube? And if you could do anything at all for content on your channel, reviews of LEGO, Let's Play, etc., what would you do and why? For the first question, I originally was introduced to Skylanders when I was probably 8 or 9, and the game that I was introduced to was Skylanders SWAT Force on the Wii. And I was later reintroduced to the franchise a couple of years later when I found my own SWAT Force figures and decided that I wanted to relive some childhood memories. Secondly, the reason why I started YouTube is because I wanted to make money doing what I love on my own time, talking about stuff that I was interested in or care about. And that's why my oldest videos are the usual commentary slot, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. And thirdly, if I would be able to do anything other than Skylanders content, I would probably talk about the lore of other games. It's something I've wanted to do with other games for a while now, and I might go back to my review content. Not the commentary slot, but the review content. Strig asks, 1. We know some of your favorite games, but what are your favorite cartoons/anime? 2. What's your favorite non-Marvel or DC hero, i.e. guys like Danny Phantom or Invincible? 3. What's your favorite show from when you were a kid that you still like today? My favorite cartoon is probably Tron Uprising. The storyline is really good outside of ending on a cliffhanger. The art style is just incredible, and it builds up the world of grid from Tron Legacy since there's like 3 grids we need to keep track of now. Outside of Marvel and DC, I don't really have a favorite superhero, but if there is a superhero, sort of, that I like, it has to be Malévola from Dispatch. Outside of the sabotages from that one mission, she seems to be the only chill person on the squad outside of that one guy from the Hunger Games. And finally, regarding the last one, my favorite show from when I was little has to be Mater's Tall Tales. I am serious when I say that Mater's Tall Tales is the only car spin-off that I actually care about. It is just that good, to the point that it's the only show that I actually really remember the director's cut for. I had the Tall Tales disc where after watching the episodes, it would just cut to the director's cut and behind the scenes stuff, and as a kid, I would watch the hell out of those. I love those little episodes and I still watch them to this day. Palafin asks, what initially drew you into Skylanders? Now, if we really want to be technical here, there are two different options, so I'll give you both. The first of which being that Skylanders was kinda just dropped on me as a kid. For the most part, I only really remember someone gifting it to me for either Christmas or my birthday, and I kinda just looked at it and said, well, this is kinda cool. And for the second reason, it was mainly because I was able to find that one lore page for Grilla Drillo when I was replaying SWAT Force. The fact that every single Skylander had a backstory of some sort was the reason why I made that first video, and it's still the reason why I'm interested in this world as a whole. What's your opinion on Hollow Knight Silksong? As I told one of my mods, I have 12 red needles in my kidney, 32 rapier-related wounds, and half my bones have been reduced to atoms by body slams from assortment of creatures. I love this game. Trust me, if Hollow Knight is a difficulty tweak, Hollow Knight Silksong is a reality check, but it's still amazing for what it is. Was it tough starting out? Yes, it was very tough. YouTube isn't something that you could just jump onto on a whim. You actually need to learn what to upload, how to edit videos that make them appealing, attempt to understand what the hell the YouTube algorithm is, and so on. If any of you want to start your own YouTube channel, I will give you this advice. Go in with a plan. Figure out if you want to be a lore channel, a gaming channel, a react channel, or any other of the sort, and then get into it. Choose wisely though. Once you find that niche, like I did with Skylanders, you're going to be stuck with it unless you decide to restart from square one. The Mage asks, what Skylander would you push down the stairs? Sprocket, I want to see if a paraplegic could build their own wheelchair. But on a serious note, I would probably shove Bash down the stairs for the sole reason that it'll probably be fine afterwards. Which Skylander would you win in a game of chess with? Countdown. I don't even have to try that hard. I could just rage bait him into blowing up and he'll probably forget he was about to do next. Easy W. Would you say the digits of pi to save your life? Probably not. This feels like a trick question. Gia asks, what's your favorite Skylander of all time? Did you watch Skylanders Academy? If Skylanders gets a new animated adaptation, how would you want it to be? My favorite Skylander of all time is probably Wind Up due to how funny he is, except in Trap Team. I haven't watched Academy since 1, I would have to review it, and 2, I know I'm going to be biased, and thirdly, if Skylanders does ever get a media adaptation, it needs to be more in line with the games than whatever the hell Academy was doing. Seriously, even as a person who hasn't played Imaginator or watched Academy, I could tell how it negatively affected the game's storyline and whatever potential paths Skylanders could have had afterwards. Hachi asks, for each Skylander game you played, what has to be your favorite gimmick lander? SWAT Force, hands down. They not only switch up the way you use your figures and play the game, but they also introduce brand new mechanics and features that don't force you to pay for basic features of a game. Who would you consider to be the best Skylanders NPC? It's probably Flynn, he is just way too funny. My final question, what has to be your favorite boss music from Skylanders? It could be from other video games too if you wish. Well, if you say that, it's probably Lost Lace. It is just so well thematically. Connor asks, what's your favorite holiday, what keeps you going through tough times, and which Skylander figure would you blast with a shotgun? My favorite holiday is Christmas, drawing and sticking with my family keep me going through tough times, and the figure that I would shoot with a shotgun would probably be Head Rush. I just do not care about the Skylander or her figure. Xero asks, if you were to remake Skylanders, how would you do so? All I really have to say is go take a look at Return to Skylands, and that's pretty much exactly what I would want for a second Skylanders game. Iggy asks, 1. What made you decide to become the Skylanders lore guy? 2. What is one of your favorite Skylanders backstories? And 3. What was the hardest RTS character to animate and make? For the first question, I really didn't become the lore guy of my own volition, it kinda just happened. Mostly because I like making those videos, other people like watching those lore videos, and I like getting paid from those lore videos. So the more I made, the more people associated me with those. Secondly, I don't really have a favorite backstory since it changes really often, but the one that's stuck with me since I've read it the most was Bad Juju's. I'm a sucker for the found family trope, especially if you just throw a child at a random character. Even though the backstory doesn't go too in-depth about it, it shows you how much she actually changed compared to other villain senseis, where for the most part, you could just boil it down to the sudden realization that they could use their powers for good, or I'm going back to the slammer. Bad Juju, out of every villain, was actually given the decision to change without any outside influences or the writers just willing it into existence. She actually made the change because she had something that she cared about and wanted to take care of. And for the third question, the characters that were the most difficult to animate for Return to Skylands was easily Revenette, since I not only had to draw on 7 different layers for her compared to Kino's 4 whenever I had to draw something, but there was also that whole debacle where I just had to make a second variation of sprite sheets just to make sure her ghastly wounds don't flip to the wrong side of her face. Harside asks, what is the thing you're most proud of when it comes to your YouTube career? Also, keep up the good work, love your content. If you had to cover a topic other than Skylanders, what would you want to cover? And for my final question, how do you feel having such a positive effect on the Skylanders community? For the first question, the fact that I got to 8K is such a huge accomplishment. As crazy as it sounds, a lot of people don't get this far, especially as quickly as I did. Secondly, if I could cover any other topic, I would cover the lore of other video games and media and maybe go back to critique content I used to do. And thirdly, I feel great that a lot of people look up to me the way they do. Spyro asks, hey Neon, whenever you do this, my 3 questions are as follows. Do you plan to reveal more characters that you plan to use for RTS of the server? What got you into story writing? And do you plan to continue the series where you make moveset for crossover Skylanders? Something similar to the moveset for Master Chief. For the first question, yes, there are a couple more characters planned for RTS that will hopefully begin to make their appearances sometime on the server when I get the chance. And for the second reason, the reason why I got into writing is actually because I just love creating my own worlds and settings to put things into. And for the third question, I'm probably going to abandon the moveset series entirely. Even though I had fun making it, it was still a bit of a pain to actually make, and it really didn't do well. But if someone wants to do that on their own, they can if they want to. Roboface asks, what gave you inspiration to make Skylanders RTS? It was actually a domino of events. Firstly, it started with Drago the Komodo leaving their own Fanlander in the comment section of one of my videos. Then I made the custom Skylanders series, which eventually evolved into the Return to Skylands series in that order. TrapX asks, who's your favorite Skylander / original Fanlander? Out of all the videos you've made / making, which one's your favorite? And if you could create a spin-off game for any franchise, what would it be? My favorite Skylander is once again a toss-up between Wind Up and Roller Brawl. My favorite video is actually the recent Elemental Gate video, since I have watched it multiple times myself, and if I could make a spin-off game for any franchise, it would probably be for Skylanders since it's the only original video game franchise I've been interested in other than Hollow Knight. StarMedic128 asks, I think the only question I have is what made you want to make the server in the first place? The server was originally supposed to be for Return to Skylands only, but over time it eventually evolved into its own community, which I decided to let grow on its own for the most part, well, other than establishing moderators ever since the incident. Nate asks, why did it take you 5 months to launch the server after you created it? It was mostly me not being prepared for it, and seeing what happened to Cloudbreaker's original server where it completely shut down due to something getting out of hand. I don't exactly remember what, but it was big enough for the server to go on full lockdown and then disappear all of a sudden. And realizing that I may have to deal with whatever potentially happened over there happening on my server, but in a completely different context in the sense of I have my own moderator drama, I decided that I would hold off for a little bit. Lego Swappers asks, do you yes-based studio or do you use any mods for it, like a color pack or custom parts? Now, I'm guessing that you are actually talking about Bricklink Studio, which yes, I actually do, and I do have a Bionicle mod for missing parts. New Bros asks, what happened to part 2 of the Spyro and Cinder lore video and will you ever finish it? What is your least favorite Skylander? If it's Trailblazer in design, you would be the best man in the world. How has the channel's rise in popularity affected you personally? For the first question, the reason why I haven't made part 2 of A Tale of Two Dragons is because of the pure insanity behind those 2 characters. More specifically Spyro, since he is in literally every piece of expanded media, big and small. So I may continue it in the future, it just depends. My least favorite Skylander is Drilla, not including swapping his lower half, and the channel's rise has affected me a lot. I have to be hella careful now since separating my personal life and professional life is getting harder and harder to pull off, but it's also given me perspective on what the concept of fame means in general. Pacos asks, favorite Skylanders, favorite Star Wars anything, and favorite Pokemon. My favorite Skylanders are once again Rollerball and Wind-Up, but we'll throw in Wash Zone for variety. My favorite Star Wars anything is the Force Unleashed series. I don't give a damn how broken anything is, just let me enjoy my power fantasy. And I don't have a favorite Pokemon. I don't play it. Dan asks, what core Skylanders do you think are the leader/face of each element? What do you think would be a cool gimmick for Skylanders? What other original projects do you plan to show in the future? The first one is unfortunately a little too complex, so I'll have to skip over it. For the second, I'm honestly not sure what the next gimmick should be, but if I had to choose, I would probably make something where I evolve original characters. And for the third, I might revive an older predecessor project, but only time will tell. Bits the Detoother asks, what's your opinion on Alice in Wonderland? What inspired you to start RTS and explain Skylanders backstories on YouTube? And which of the spin-off Skylanders games is your favorite? I've never watched Alice in Wonderland, I've already explained the second one earlier in this video, and I haven't played any of the spin-off games, so unfortunately I cannot comment on that either. But for the Skylanders backstories, it was once again seeing Gorilla Drilla's backstory wanting to talk about the others I found. Shattered 08 asks, what is your favorite level theme from each game? Shattered Island's main theme, Junkyard Isles theme, Cascade Glades, Know-It-All Island's first main theme, Cloud Breather's Craig, and I got nothing for Skylanders Imaginators because I haven't heard their OST yet. Bronzy asks, what is your 1. Favorite character, overall doesn't have to be Skylanders, 2. Favorite Skylanders boss fight, and 3. Least favorite boss fight. My favorite character is Peter Parker's Spider-Man, my favorite boss fight from Skylanders is actually the Chaos boss fight from SWAT Force, and my least favorite boss fight is a tie between half the bosses from Trap Team. Most of the bosses from that game are just excuses to trap villains, and the bosses all feel the same as their other counterparts throughout the game, other than the hyperinflated health. But if you want a non-Skylanders boss, it's the last Judge from Silksong. I hate that boss with all my passion. Kodalik asks, 1. What thing do you want the Skylander to be based on that hasn't had a Skylander already? And 2. What do you think is in the Darkness's home world? I wish there were more Skylanders based off the Darkness itself, ironically enough. Not the Dark element, but the Darkness as a whole. Other than the Skylanders from the Dark Starter Pack and Dark Spyro, we really don't have that many Skylanders connected to the Darkness, even though it's such a fascinating concept. And regarding the Darkness's home world/dimension, I imagine it being like a weird mirror elseworld to Skylands akin to the Upside Down, but more chaotic and unreasonable. Siri asks, favorite Skylander, favorite Skylanders game, favorite non-Skylanders franchise. I already tackled my favorite Skylander, so I won't repeat it again, but my favorite Skylanders game is Skylanders SWAT Force, and my favorite non-Skylanders franchise is Star Wars, even though it's a dumpster fire right now. Octo asks, greetings, here is my question. What is your creative process when making your Fanlanders, and what's the origin of your persona? The creative process for making a Fanlander usually starts out with me making a visualization of them, and then making a backstory and name that fits the description of that character. That's why Stitchcraft and Vineglow were named the way that they were, and why their names either reflect their designs or their attacks. And the origin of Neon Batteries is that I took the name from Neon Green Batteries. K asks, I hope this ain't breaking any rules. Out of the Fanlanders we made, which one do you find the most interesting? Recently, it was the Ghost Couple. Like most Fanlanders, I usually skim over them, but for these two, I actually want to go read their backstories in full to see what's going on with them. Toast asks, what originally gave you the idea to create RTS, and what's your step-by-step process of writing and creating characters for it? Like I said earlier, it was a series of events that led to RTS's creation, and my step-by-step process is a mixture of leaving it open-ended enough for me to make additions while script writing to either insert Fanlanders from the Discord, or course correct when needs be, but other than that, I pretty much know where everything's going to go, and for the Fanlanders, I kinda just yoink them from the Discord when needs be. Mossy asks, what inspired you to talk about Skylanders? Have you thought of doing a rewriting of the Skylanders franchise series? Not just the backstories, but the games, gameplay, mechanics, lore, themes, story, plot, characters, etc. And are you going to explore ideas and concepts in RTS that the original franchise brought up but never really explained or expanded upon? Talking about Skylanders kinda just happened. I may rewrite Imaginators, but I really have to get into that game and see what the hell I'm dealing with. And I'm definitely going to explore multiple different concepts in RTS that originally came from Skylanders. But that's a surprise for later. Ocean Entity asks, out of all the mainline Skylanders games you haven't played yet, which ones are you interested in the most? Out of all the Skylanders you don't have, which ones are you interested in the most? And if you could have the weapons/powers of any Skylander, as in their entire moveset, which one would you choose? I'm most interested in Giants since that seems to be one of the high points for the franchise. I don't really want any new Skylanders and I'm fine with the roster that I do have, and if I could have the power or weapon of a Skylander, I would have gear shifts due to how versatile of a weapon it is. Daniel07 asks, what's the weirdest Skylander that I've ever seen, and what's your favorite and least favorite part of making RTS? Flipwreck, he's just a dolphin with legs, and my least favorite part of RTS is actually ending the damn thing because it feels like every time I do it, it takes a year off my life. But I do love writing for RTS. Blue Fairy Fox asks, how is RTS coming along? What Skylanders fan character backstory is your favorite so far for RTS and what do you like about it? And how have you been? RTS is going well, I'm ready to record the next episode and I'm trying to get it out by the end of the year. I already explained this one with the Ghost couple and I might do something with them, and my life has been pretty swell. RoyFanYT asks, in your opinion, who do you think are the Skylanders with the weakest/not fun movesets from each element? Prism Break, Sprocket, Grilladrilla, Slam Bam, and anything other than Giants and SSA. The Undead element is fine, Hoot Loop, Fire element is fine, and that's all I can really think about from the top of my head. I really do not care about the Air element, and I only have one of them. Wolfear asks, what are some of your hobbies/interests outside of Skylanders? For the most part, I like building with Legos in my spare time, writing stories, and playing games, specifically Minecraft. I'm actually working on a big vault on the Discord server called Server's Key, but if you guys want to help, just join the server whenever it's open and I'm online, and I'll surely give you something to do. Slicko5 asks, if RTS was ever adapted into another work, how would you like it to be? A game, comic, audio series, etc. Would you like to see your story retold or put a new spin on it? I would want RTS to be a game with the exact same story, and I've wanted this game to be, an actual game so badly, it's to the point that I've actually considered worming my way over to Skylanders tech scene to see if it would be possible a couple of times. But yeah, RTS was designed to be a game first and foremost. Papillon Maker, or Papillon Maker, I'm sorry if I butchered that, asks, if you were able to do it all again, what would you do differently? I would definitely correct all the mistakes I did with my early days because even though those videos are some of my most popular, there are a lot of screw-ups in them. Zio asks, what are some of the biggest inspirations for Return to Skylands, and what made you decide to focus on your characters, besides Kino you've gone over? For the first one, I've already answered that earlier in the video, and for the second, it's mostly because they are either fan favorites that I could focus on and build upon, like is the case with the Skylanders, or I could do something cool with the character later on, like I did with the Fanlanders. Cheerio Squad asks, hey Neon, how would you think Kirby would be played out in Skylanders? Kirby being in Skylanders, more specifically being a playable character in Skylands, is an absolute nightmare scenario. He's either missing the basic aspects of him that make him Kirby, or some poor designer is going to have a mental breakdown from programming him. There is literally no in-between in my eyes. King asks, what do you think is your favorite video produced? How is work/class going? What is the funniest line blooper you made when making your videos? My favorite video was once again the Gates video. I actually am unemployed because holy hell, the American economy cannot stay stable for like 3 minutes, and I accidentally said a slur once during recording and freaked the hell out when I caught it in editing. Just when I was about to upload the video. Yeah, even though it was an accident because, well, I didn't know until the video was about to go up, it was a good thing I caught it because that would have been a nightmare scenario. But if you're wondering what I said, it rhymes with Link. Once again, I wasn't trying to say this word, but the reason why I look back on it so fondly is just how funny of a reaction I had. So yeah, that's pretty much the biggest blooper I've ever had, but the one that you guys will never get to see. And finally, Willow asks, if we got a remaster of SSA, how would you think they would do the amount of Skylanders? Like restricted to the original 32 or allow all Skylanders? I would probably include all the cores and that's pretty much it. Adding the gimmick landers would either be a hassle to do code-wise or just break something within the game. And with that, this is the end of the Q&A. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for tuning into this video, and special shout out to those on the Discord who are here for the first year of its existence, and I hope we have plenty more to spend with each other afterwards. But with that, this is where today's video comes to a close. Like always, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, share this around so I can grow the channel, leave some comments down below to make the algorithm happy, check out Return to Skylands, the Discord itself, and a bunch of other stuff in the description below, hype up the video to spread it to the masses, and I will see you all in the next one.